The Seattle Mariners keep finding ways to show me something different in a baseball game that I've never seen before. And this game, once again, is no exception. We got two absolutely unbelievable plays on defense, a quote unquote pitching change that wasn't a pitching change, and then another clutch hit in crunch time to win a game that they desperately needed. But let's start right here with an unbelievable play from Julio Rodriguez. This is in the top of the eighth inning. It's a one-run game. You have the tying run on third base, the go-ahead run on second. Gregory Santos, I'm not a fan of him in these big spots, but they keep using him anyways. Throws a decent pitch here, gets a hold of it. Julio gets an jump, makes the catch, and fires a strike. That holds the runner on third base, does not tag up. The runner at second as well has to stay. Now there's two outs. And this throw right here, I saw it on StatCast. They have this clocked out at 97.5 miles an hour from Julio on a dime. No cutoff man, blows through it, and it is a perfect throw into the plate. Could not have placed this better. Cal frames it right here. It looks like he's framing it as a strike. And if you didn't see my video recently where I was talking about throws from the outfield, in particular from left and right field, they had some bad spots where they did this and they just blow through the cutoff man. I did say in those spots, unless you are a freak of nature like Ichiro Suzuki, you should probably still maintain a low launch angle throw into the plate on these plays and give yourself a chance to cut it off if needed. But Julio Rodriguez is one of those freaks of nature I think you're going to have to make that exception for. You can see Rowdy Tellez does kind of put his glove up, but there was no chance. He just fired this thing straight into the plate, and I have no problem with it. This is one of those spots with the game essentially on the line, and you have a guy like Julio that can make a 97-mile-an-hour throw from center field on a dime like this. Yeah, bro, you give him the green light. Some dudes are just born to play ball, and Julio is one of them. This was unbelievable. So that holds the runners. Now they got two outs, and this is where it gets really, really weird. This is something I don't think I've ever seen this before. Dan Wilson comes out for a mound visit, and it looks like he's going to make a pitching change, but you can see he never technically puts his hands up and calls to the bullpen. But the bullpen has Snyder, who I do like a lot, by the way. I think he should have came into this game. Coming out of the bullpen like he's going to come into the game. They cut to a commercial break, okay? Everyone is under the assumption that's a pitching change. Cut back from the commercial, and this guy's still on the mound. And they actually had Snyder, the guy coming out of the bullpen, he was on the field. He came out like there was a pitching change. And some of the body language here from Snyder as well, takes his glove right there. Doesn't look like he's too happy about it. It's kind of embarrassing. I can't imagine it's a good feeling to get warmed up and you're like, yeah, I'm coming into this game. And then all of a sudden they're just like, nah, you're going to stay. They did say on the broadcast, Dan Wilson never technically put his hands out of his pockets because the dude's always walking with his hands in his pockets. He never technically called to the bullpen to make the substitution. I think there was a chance he was going to do it. I think what he was going for in this spot, because they were going to walk the Astros' next hitter, Yordan Alvarez, who's a left-handed hitter, to make the bases loaded. I think Dan wanted to come out and talk to the infield and see how they felt about that decision. Maybe talk to Cal before possibly making this change. So I am going to shoot Dan a little bit of bail here, even though I did not like Santos staying in this spot. I think this was a mound visit where he's just trying to have a conversation with the infield, with Cal, with Santos, and get a feel for where they're at. And then based on that conversation, maybe make a change. Sometimes managers will do that. They want to actually talk to their players before they make a decision. But I will say on the flip side, it's not a good look to have that guy come out of the bullpen, start running onto the field, and then have to send him back. He's not pitching tonight anymore. And we're just going to go with this guy and we're going to walk Yordan Alvarez. I don't think it's a good look. I think it still looks like the communication isn't quite where it needs to be with the coaching staff, with the bullpen, with your players. Just try to make it look a little bit more organized. Now, I'm not a fan of leaving Santos in this spot. I think this still should have been Snyder, but nonetheless, they leave him in. They walk the next batter. So now you got the bases loaded, two outs, 2 balls, 1 strike. They get a ground ball to third base. Dylan Moore is out there, and it's a complete and utter disaster. It's a hard hit ground ball. Dylan Moore boots it, scores 2 runs. That puts the Astros up 3-2. Looking back at this play, I am by no means going to call this like routine. But at the professional level, Dylan Moore, that's a play that's got to be made, bro. Find a way to get in front of it, or at bare minimum, with the game on the line, there's no reason to be sidestepping this. And I know, again, it's easier said than done. I'm obviously criticizing a professional athlete here at third base, but you have to find a way to, at bare minimum, even if you do not field this cleanly, that ball has to stay on the infield. It has to stay on the infield. Body this thing up. You cannot afford to take a risk and field this on your side. You can't. Not with the game on the line, not in the eighth inning. That's a play that's not only probably got to be made, but at bare minimum, that ball has to remain in front of you. The Mariners do have a real problem with third base defense. Jorge Polanco is not going to be able to get it done. Dylan Moore is better than Polanco, but game on the line, gonna need somebody better out there at third base. You got to have plays like this get made. Mariners managed to hold it to a 1-run lead. Now they go into the bottom of the eighth inning. And this is a spot where I love this bunt. JP Crawford, who is a struggling hitter, has no reason to come up and demand to not bunt. Nobody should have a problem with JP Crawford laying down a bunt in this spot. He's not been consistent at the plate. You need to guarantee yourself a productive out. I know people don't like that term, productive out, but with the game on the line, bottom of the eighth inning, if your offense is struggling and you have a batter at the plate with the tying run at second base and the go-ahead run at first with no outs, you have to move these runners over. It is a non-negotiable if you're not either Julio Rodriguez or Jorge Polanco. It's a non-negotiable. You're laying this bunt down. And he executes it perfectly. It's down the third baseline, sacrifice bunt. They make the play. Now you got 2 outs. Jorge Polanco's at the plate. Julio Rodriguez was up before this. He did not get the job done. But you have your hottest hitter coming up. Tying run on third base. Go ahead, run at second. You need a base hit. Polanco gets ahead in the count. 2 balls, 1 strike. He's going to hang a curveball middle of the plate. Doesn't try to do too much with it. Knocks it through the middle of the field. That goes and gives the Mariners the lead. That was absolutely huge from Jorge Polanco. That is a perfectly executed, doing just what you need to do. There's no reason to swing big. There's no reason to get crazy here. Takes a middle curveball and just does his job. Give you the base hit to tie the game. That's beautiful from Jorge Polanco. And at this point where I'm at, he has to be in the lineup, guys. And if it means that he can't be on the field and his knee hurts and he has to play DH and just focus on hitting so he can stay in the lineup, sorry, Rowdy Tellez, sorry, Solano, he's taking your spot. Mitch Garver DH spots, sorry, bro, you're not getting those at-bats anymore. If this is what needs to happen, they need to find a way to get around those guys that want those DH at-bats and keep Polanco there because his bat is way too valuable for him to not be in the lineup. Take at-bats away from Tellez, take at-bats away from Solano, take at-bats away from Mitch Garver. Unless he's catching, Polanco's got to be in this lineup as much as possible. And another gem from JP Crawford at shortstop. This is one of the greatest plays I've ever seen him make. Top of the 9th inning to get this first out. It's a ground ball off the pitcher's mound, takes a weird bounce, dives, snow cones it, gets the throw over to first base. Tellez somehow keeps his foot on the bag. And this is, by every definition, a snow cone right there. Just gets that ball in his glove, gets up quickly to make an on-time throw. And Tellez with the stretch just keeps his spikes on it. That was borderline a must-win game for the Mariners. I know it's super early in the season, but they got to find a way to win either this Houston series at home or the Rangers series at home. And one more thing I want to talk about. Rowdy Tellez, I almost showed all of his at-bats in this game because none of them were really that competitive. But I think it's time for Rowdy Tellez to lose his job on this team. This is the first person's job I've called for so far. I'm sure there will be others as the season goes on. Rowdy Tellez, we can't put him out there anymore. Not with Polanco needing DH at-bats. Not when you have other guys that can play first base. This was an awful play by him out there in the infield. Early in the game, he just kind of bends over at the waist and the ball just gets booted out there. That's a routine ball. He kind of feels it one hand on his side. My issue with this play is not even so much that he let this ball get by him and it was a routine play. I do think it was a spinner. It probably took a weird hop, but you should still find a way to get in front of it. I know that professional players at this level, they're not always going to practice good mechanics. They're going to, make one-handed catches in the outfield and field routine grounders weirdly, but my problem is if you're struggling as bad as he is, you should probably make sure you are on all of your P's and Q's on everything else that you're doing. Because let me just go through his numbers this year at the plate. Rowdy Tellez is 1 for 18 on the year. He has an 0.56 batting average with 7 strikeouts, and his one base hit that he had this year is a broken bat single that flared out over the shortstop's head and walked once. Guys, that's enough for me. I'm done. If you're going to have that bad of at-bats, and I'm honestly kind of giving him grace here, his at-bats in this game, he worked a 3-0 count, turned back around and struck out. His next at-bat got served up a cookie first pitch, didn't swing at it, grounded out on that at-bat. Then I believe he swings at some weird crap outside the zone and either flies out or grounds out, something weak. He's not competitive at the plate. He's not doing what he needs to do on defense. I get he made that good stretch at first base today, but I hope that does not save him any playing time on this team. Sure, he's a nice guy. Nothing against him. He can't be taking at-bats away from anyone else. It just cannot happen anymore. This team is without a doubt going to drive me insane this year. Like, I love seeing good, exciting wins like this, but they do something weird every game they play in. And if you want to watch them make me lose my mind over the season, make sure you guys subscribe. I'll have more of these on the way. Thank you, everybody. I read every single comment you guys leave. See you in the next one. Hopefully it's a win.